Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grue Room. And today, for the Grue Room, we got a very special guest. He is a director, producer, editor, and actor. He's the jack of all trades, and his name is Colton Tran. Colton Tran. And I'm really looking forward to talking to him. It's going to be a fun interview. He's a big horror fan, just like me. So it's going to be fun talking horror with Colton. And I am Rocco Cross. I am the host of Utters. I am the host of the Grue Room. And my interview with Colton. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your night and coming on the show and being a guest, bud.
Of course, I'm so excited to be on the show. Yeah.
I have to say, I love the background for you. You got the Exorcist and a cute little cat.
Just so contradictory. No, so I have a wall of scary movie things and my little trinkets here, but like I have a garage here and it just because I just moved about like 4 months ago.
Oh, nice.
And I had to kind of pick and choose what is hung up on the wall and what's where. But like right here in the office area, I have like the poster for my new film. But yeah, like I did an art show where every art show I'm a part of, I like to buy one of the artist's piece of work. So I bought that from a show. And my grandpa painted that. So I just thought it was cute.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the face staring at me, the Linda Blair face.
She's gonna be staring the entire time. No, like whenever people come over, they're like, "Oh, she's so creepy," and I'm like, "She's beautiful. Leave her alone."
Exactly.
I actually, speaking of her, this is funny / tragic story. I used to have a life-size Linda Blair like replica, and it wasn't
really?
it wasn't from like Spirit or anywhere. It was actually like a custom made from this guy in Alabama. And I bought it, and it was animatronic. So you like remote control, her head would spin, and her eyes would roll in the back of her head. And in the middle of this, I can even show you because I have parts left. But
oh my god,
I just barely got because I have two dogs. They're boxers, and I had gotten the baby one, and he was like 4 months old, and I had left him because I went out of town with a friend, and he he came over to check the dog. He's like, oh my gosh. He like the body was everywhere. There was like stuffing. The head was ripped off.
My god.
I was like, oh my god, because I was obsessed with that thing. And Linda Blair had signed it too because I met her in person. I was like, you have to see this replica. And she's like, oh my god, it's so good because it actually like looks just like her. And anyways, now it's R.I.P. Linda Blair.
Well, I mean, you should try to get her for one of your films.
Oh, that would be kind of amazing. I do have I have my wish list for people to work with in the future. So
there you go. And I was looking through your page and stuff, and I see you wear many hats. Like you produce, direct, edit, act, and write. So, yeah. Like, how did you get involved with every one of those things?
I feel like as a filmmaker, I feel like a lot of people do wear a lot of hats, especially when you're balancing back and forth between having something that has a hefty budget and then you are doing less versus something that has a low, like bare bones budget. And you're like, okay, like I just believe in this. So we're going to wear a lot of hats and make it happen. Because even during quarantine, I actually was lucky enough to have a lot of work, but there was certain things that ranged from doing a friend's music video that was so low versus like a Disney Channel music video I directed, which had a bigger budget, and you end up just doing your job. I'm just only directing. I'm collaborating with different, getting the right vision on everyone's plate and then making it happen. But like on a lower budget, it's like, I'm going to produce. I'm also going to edit. I'm also going to like help you location scout. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And which is cool. I think that's a fun thing in its own. But yeah, I kind of picky and choosy with things that I do direct just because I want it to feel like it's in the vein of everything else that I'm doing. But anyways, to go back to your question, the reason how I got started was in Utah back when I was living there. We moved to our new house. So I was about like 10 years old, and my neighbor, he was a film director, producer, which at that time I didn't really know what that meant, but he asked his daughter and me, he's like, you guys should come on set and be an extra in my commercial. And we're like, okay. And we're like walking in it's like the most awkward thing ever, but we like thought it was so cool. And so he was so kind enough to mentor us as kids and growing up, that he taught us like, we started on iMovie around like 13 years, 12, 13. And then he made us learn Final Cut by like 13, 14 years old. So like and Photoshop. And so he kind of just shaped our, the way we grew up with having a passion for film, and we just fell in love with it. And every day after school, we would come home and like write little stories. And I loved Scream since I was a kid. So we like
Nice.
recreate scenes from Scream. And my family was so supportive, and they would just watch all of our movies. Like they'd sit there, like Colt made a new film, and just sit on the couch and like, and half of them were in the movie too. But that's how it all began. And I think at a younger age, we made our own movie posters and like, all that stuff. And so I think I just learned to do all these different things from the way that it started at such a young age. Because if you wanted to make something happen, you just had to do it yourself, like truly. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Wow, nice. It's awesome though. I, like when you're not assigned to like a big production place like a Lionsgate or Bloomhouse or one of them, like you definitely have to find ways to save money, and even if that means like wearing many hats, right?
100%. And it's interesting because, as you know, how the industry works as well. My latest feature film, Snowfalls,
Yeah.
I directed that last January, like not this one, but the one before, like turning into 2020.
Oh wow.
And it was like perfect timing, because all of a sudden the like pandemic hit, and like we were in post-production and everything. So everyone was working from home anyways. But that next coming January, we sold it, and it is a bigger studio like the ones you were mentioning. And so it's funny because you do everything on a bare bones and wear a lot of those hats, but then you end up having a bigger name behind it. So
Right.
it's such a funny balance of,
Nice.
it's like, do you know what I mean? And so, but again, all that hard work is worth it when you're like, cool, like these people believe in our stuff. And so, yeah, it's just funny, that balance.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can congrats on getting a big name place to pick
Thank
up the
you.
film.
Thank you. Yeah, it really was super excited for all of us to, because we did put so much work into it, and to just have that, like, I guess, validation of knowing like, wow, the work was worth it. Because I feel like myself, since I create a lot of the concepts and direct, and then I'm editing, I'm a part of all three of those storytelling. Because people say, they're like, a story is told 3 different times: on the paper, on set, and then in post. And since I do mostly all 3 of them, it's like, it's interesting because I see it so much that I'm like, is this even good still? I don't know. And so the validation, like I was saying, is like when somebody buys it, you're like, okay, cool, I guess it was good enough. So yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I have to ask, like, what made you love horror films so much?
So growing up, I mean, my parents got divorced at a very young age. I was like 2
Mm-hmm.
years old, and I remember my dad just loves to scare people. He always has, and I'm like, I was a victim of that since a little kid.
Oh
So I remember
no.
he would always try to scare me, but like I remember specifically one moment when I was young, like 3 or something. I was like sitting on the edge of the bed, and he had me like watching Chucky, and I was like horrified, obviously. And then he goes under the bed and grabs my feet, and I just remember like being so scared, like, and that
Oh
was one
my
traumatic moment
God.
for me. But when we revisited horror was when Scream. It was like when it came out. Well, actually, it wasn't even when it came out. He got it on VHS and he brought it back. He's like, we should watch this. And so me and my brother, he's like 6 and I'm like 8. I don't even know how we were, but we're like horrified. But then I just like fell in love with it. And so, and then maybe I was a little older because I was already starting to make movies. And then I was like, oh, we should remake this film. Like, I love this movie. And I even had like pictures of me when I was like 10 or 11 having a Scream themed birthday party. Like,
Oh my God.
I mean, my friends must have thought I was like kind of weird, but like my whole room growing up was like, I have a life-size ghost face in my room. Like, it was always horror themed. And so I think it just kind of spawned when I was a kid. And then the fact that I had an outlet like film to keep creating, I think is what just kept me obsessed with it. And it's funny because like as a craven, as a filmmaker, and especially as a horror fan, I think a lot of people can look at a horror fan, like when you go to these conventions and they're like, that's what they look like. That totally makes sense. And it's funny because people, like when they meet me in person, they're like, I would never expect you to be so dark and like creepy, you know? I'm like, well, surprise.
I love going to those things, those horror cons. I'm actually going to one next week, and they got a horror
Cool.
convention in Jersey.
Oh, fun. I'm so jealous. Like, because a lot of the ones I go to here have kind of like Monster Palooza and all that kind of stuff. They are coming back, I think, like in August. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be going to all those. But I love them. And I was lucky enough to meet the people who own this. It's like a horror inspired shop right across. There's a place called Halloween Town, but across from it, it's
Oh,
called
nice.
Mystic Museum. And they're like a store of like oddities and horror and just like Halloween. And they started doing art shows about like 4 years ago where they would have a certain theme. It'd be biannual, like Goosebumps or Scream or just like, or like Evil Dead or whatever. And so they have a theme, and they call a bunch of different artists which they invite. And it's like invite only stuff, but they say like, because everyone has different mediums, and they're like, hey, we
Yeah.
want you to be part of this art show. It'll happen this day. You have to deliver your art by then, and we have a show. And like everyone comes, your family comes, like if they're here, and it's just cool because they have an opening, and like everything is so well done. Like the two owners of it, he does a lot of production design, and so they just go
wow.
all out. And so the one happening, I have a new piece of art I'm making for their Evil Dead one,
Oh,
September 11th.
really?
Yeah, and it's gonna be Sam Raimi is a part of it. Like a bunch of people like are of the actual film are being because they've gotten so much
Oh my God,
high
that's so awesome.
representation. I mean, not reps, but just like clout, I guess, from the shows they've been putting on, that people are attaching themselves to the shows. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I think
Yeah,
that would be
definitely. Oh my
a convention.
God,
Yeah,
that sounds so awesome.
I'm excited. So if you're ever in LA, you should come to one of them.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
And I mean, next week when I go to horror convention, I'm like really like going crazy because I'm actually gonna meet Brad Dourif, Chucky's voice.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yes, and I'm
jealous.
so excited. And they said for like for whatever price he charges, like you can actually have him say a message to you in the Chucky voice.
It's kind of like the cameos right now that people are doing. Like so. I have not met him, but I met Jennifer Tilly and Don Mancini because they were together, and I just love Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer's amazing.
Her. So that was cool to meet them, but I'm jealous. So you'll have to like let me know how it goes, and if he does a video, please send it to me.
Oh, definitely will. Yes. Like Brad's there. Jennifer Tilly isn't going to be there. Like I was a little upset about that because I really wanted to meet Jennifer Tilly. Brad Dourif's going to be there. Christine Lise, she was in Child's Play too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And little Andy, well, he's not little anymore.
Oh, I met him at one of them as well, and yeah, he's definitely not little anymore. But it was cool to meet him too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, he still looks like the kid.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
So funny.
So yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. I mean, I'm really excited for Brad Dourif, and you mentioned Scream, and Matt Lillard and Skeet are going to be there.
Oh my goodness, I just got chills. I mean, that's just my favorite scary movie of all time, and I was lucky enough to be on the set of Scream 4, so I was there like on one of Wes Craven's last projects, and so
that's so awesome.
Yeah, me and my producing partner were meeting with producers out in Michigan, and their showrunner. So it was just cool to see him work, and Neve Campbell is just like the sweetest. Like she's like a mother, and she like she just acted like what she's like. You guys, do you have your bug spray? She's like, everyone needs bug spray. Like, you know what I mean? And we were on set the day that Olivia got killed up in the room. Like where she's like,
yeah,
I'm in your closet, and he wasn't. It was across the thing, and it was just such a bloodbath, and it was so cool because I became friends with Skip Crank, who's their production designer,
nice.
or props. And so he just comes willing up this like bucket full of like a scream mask, and like all the knives. And I was like, this is just the coolest thing to experience this. One of the movies I've loved for my entire life, and just like seeing all the cop cars on the street that say Woodsboro Police. It was just like, wow, this is a dream. Yeah, so cool. So yeah, are you gonna meet them too? Because I know you have to pay to meet them. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, like definitely gonna meet them, and I mean, there's so many actors are gonna be there, so I have to pick and choose, or else I'm gonna go broke.
Yeah, you're like, I am living on the streets now, but it's fine. No, see, because I when I go to those things, I've chose a couple of them to take photos with because I'm like, I just like an autograph on a photo doesn't really do it for me because I'm like, I mean, if I see them do it, it's cool, but also I would rather just have a photo. But I do have a photo right up here that is just only autographed, but it's of Tom Holland when he's directing one of the Chucky movies. I
Nice,
don't know which one it
nice.
was, but like it's Chucky sitting in the windowsill and he's directing the puppeteer outside the window, but it looks like he's
Yeah.
talking to him. And I just think it's such a cool behind the scenes photo. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so awesome. Like you see me, like I love Scream. My two favorites out of the series is 1 and 4.
Okay, cool. Well, see, because when people like one is their favorite, it's funny because a lot of people are like 4 because 4 replicated it in a way that was so clever
Mm-hmm.
that I think that people like go to 1 to 4. Like if I had to choose my order, I would think it's 1, 2, 4, 3 because
Okay.
I did love 4, but the opening scene of 2 is just so genius, and I think there was also a lot of really really intense moments, like when Sydney, like when he wrecks the car, they have to crawl over him.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
goodness. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
There's
I know.
just so many good scenes in that movie. And yeah, so I think that, and also Sarah Michelle Gellar, come on.
Oh
That
yeah.
cameo, that was just amazing.
I mean, you can never go wrong having Buffy the Vampire Slayer in a movie.
Literally, I know. I'm like, Buffy, come on, you would have kicked his ass, but she didn't. Plummeted to her death instead.
I know exactly.
But such a good death scene. That house is actually here in Pasadena, in California, and so I've
Really?
gone to it a couple times to check it out. Yeah, it's just cool. Yeah, to see the location.
Oh man, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So, what's your favorite scary movie?
Oh wow, you sound like Ghostface now.
I wish. Yeah, but what is it?
Actually, my favorite horror movie of all time is probably Night of the Demons. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yes, I did see that movie. That's
It's like
awesome. Okay,
it's like a very
that's a
cheesy
good one.
80s film.
That's no, but is also the soft spot in your black heart. Just kidding. No, seriously, for that film,
Yeah,
100%.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, that's a really amazing film. I know when you try to ask people like, oh, especially horror fans, like their favorite movies, it's like such a hard thing.
Hmm.
And then also when someone asks that question, you're like, wait, why can I not think of one right now? You know what I mean? But like, there's so many and just so, and yeah, especially yeah. But
And what about you? What are I remember asking you this like a couple hours ago. What are some
yeah.
of your top favorite horror films?
Well, besides Scream, I see like and like you're saying, some of those campy ones were my favorite growing up. Well, first of all, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one with Jessica Biel, I
Yes,
just that movie is so good.
it is. It is.
And it's funny because I'm not scared of many things. Like I feel like I'm an adrenaline junkie in a way where like I want to dive with sharks. I want to do this, but I don't want to skydive because I'm like that's just like asking to die, like for real. So I'm like that's not no. But chainsaws scare me so bad. Like in haunted houses, I'm just like I
Oh
just
my God, yeah.
really 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 hate them. But I
Yes,
love the
yes.
movies. So there's that. I loved Freddy versus Jason because I thought it was just so good. It was so campy but so good. Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors is one of my favorites. Trick or Treat because
Little Sam.
I love him.
Yes.
I'm friends with the director Michael Dougherty. I love him so much.
Oh, nice.
So and I was such a big fan of that before I met him. And it was just I love the fact that it's an anthology and it was put into one
Hmm.
feature, and it's also it's more like stylistic, and that's like in the vein of stuff that I do as well. So like in the whimsical world, and let me think. There's uh, well, The Bride of Chucky is actually one of my other. I just love.
I love The
When I can
Bride of
watch.
Chucky.
I love it. I can watch it
I
over and
love
over
it.
and over again. Well, Ronnie Yu, he directed Bride of Chucky and Freddy versus Jason, so
Yeah.
they're both so campy, but like I just was in love with them. Um, and then I think I'm trying to think if going back to like classic stuff. Well, of course, The Exorcist.
Of
She's
course.
watching over me at all times.
Of course.
Um,
She's watching over you now.
no, she's I love that film just because of I like, not just because of how I fell in love with him just in general, but I like seeing how certain horror films affected the horror genre and just the filmmaking, like certain types of films, how they were done. Like, they talk about some of the screenings of The Exorcist, how like they were very, and on set, like how really weird, dark things happened. And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
cool to like, to see other people that have these passions for films and like the way they make them come to life, and just the stories behind them. So that's one of those films. And then like something recent, I don't know if you consider this horror really, but did you ever see Final Girls?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really love that film. Like I just feel like it was like so clever, and
It
you
was
just
it was very well done.
yeah, you just love seeing like a satire of like these films. And I feel like people, when I grew up, people were like, "Oh, Scream." They're like, "Is that in comedy?" And I was like, "I'm confused." For some reason, growing up, people thought it was such a satire that it just was like a funny film, but like it wasn't, obviously. But it was like the first of its kind, really. And
Hmm.
so I think people were a little confused. But yeah, that's why I just love those films. But yeah, anyways, I could probably think of more later. We're still talking, but yeah.
Nice. I, all great choices. I love Trick or Treat. Like, that's one of my favorite horror movies.
It's so good. And like also like one a while ago, The Ring, I just think is like was
Hmm.
so genius.
Hmm.
Like that. I mean, the fact that that was PG-13 and it was as scary as it was is I love that, And also the new remake of Evil Dead, I'm obsessed with.
Okay, okay.
It's funny because like I feel like either people love the original and they're like screw the remake, or it's like opposite, because I mean I love them both, but I think it just, and of course you have to see past the fact that the other one was made so long ago.
Well, yeah,
But
exactly.
the new one, I love that they did use a lot of practical effects, and
Hmm.
it was just actually creepy, and I like being creeped out because, or scared, because I think it rarely happens these days.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I want to be scared, and I love people around me who are like, oh my god, and I'm like, it's just funny because then it makes you just want to scare them even more. I told you I have a life size ghost face. I have a
I,
life size leather face, which I bought a lot when I was in high
we
school. Um,
nice.
Actually, and it's holding a chainsaw, and it looks so real because its eyes like move and the chainsaw moves. But I remember loving scaring people with that. Like, so I brought a bunch of like people in my house. We watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like I put him in the bathroom in the garage where everyone goes. And so I was just waiting. I was like, I cannot wait for somebody when we take a break from this movie and they go to the bathroom. And like, it was like 2 a.m. And this girl was like screaming and like running. And of course, I'm not just gonna let it end there. I go to the bathroom, grab it, and I'm like chasing her around the house, and she's like screaming bloody murder. My mom's like, "What is happening?" Like, I don't know. I love that thing so much. But they're all back in Utah, so
Oh
sad.
no.
Yeah, because they're so large. I actually have like, and I made a lot of my films back in Utah, so I have like a whole shed with like all my props and everything.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah,
That's so funny.
back there. It was fun.
Did you what did you think of the trailers for Halloween Kills and Chucky?
Ooh, actually am really excited for Halloween Kills. I think Jamie Lee Curtis, like just even that opening scene gives me like chills because I'm like, she's so good, but just like
Yeah,
that, the passion behind the fact that it's like,
yes.
oh my God, he's gonna come back.
She's
And
like,
I
let
like
him
that.
die.
Yes, let him know. And I love how they changed his mask in a way, not change it, but like how it's burnt, so it gives
Yeah.
it a different type of edge. So I'm super excited for that. I think that franchise is so special in a way where they've been able to keep it alive, even if it doesn't all make sense. Like Halloween H2O is never another one of my favorite films.
Nice.
I think
Nice.
it's so good. Um, and the Chucky, I've been waiting because like the Chucky film that came out before this, I actually liked it because it was like stylistic, but it was like the comedy was almost a little too forced in a way. I was like, I
True.
love what's happening, the story as a whole, but some of the acting, I was like, this is just you're trying to be funny, and this is not funny. It's just not like the acting is not funny. But I do love Aubrey Plaza, and I just thought the doll it was weird that I guess the
Hmm.
original team was not behind it, so like the doll had to like look so different, and I was like,
Yeah.
it was just weird that he looked so different. I was like, this. So when I saw the trailer for this and the promos and stuff, I was like, he looks so good and just like the
Exactly.
original. And I'm just like, it's gonna be really exciting. And I also love that the lead character is LGBT. You know, it's cute.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because the kid who picks up the doll at the yard sale has a crush on a guy at school, right?
Yeah, so that's why like I thought that was exciting, and they've kind of like the press has talked about it that way. It's like you know this the protagonist is a gay kid, and it's
Hmm.
like a horror film. And because I've worked with a lot of people in the community, and they are like, why is it so hard to get a protagonist, a strong protagonist, gay character? You know,
Exactly.
um, and so I think it's like the perfect age for him. I think that he has a very like kind, likable face. So it's like, you know, it's like someone you can really feel for. And like the
Yeah,
story, I just am excited to see how it all takes place. And I love that it's also a series. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I'm super, super excited. So yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Nice, nice. So wanted to ask you, like, you direct, edit, and produce a horror short. I don't know if I'm gonna say this right now.
Oh,
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope Kids. Yeah, Kaleidoscope Kids. That was like a short film. So during quarantine, because I was in post for Snowfalls, which is the feature, but you know, I became really close with that cast, and I've known them even before we worked together on this film. But we all were like, let's like join forces and just
Hmm.
keep creating during COVID. And so we did, and we made Kaleidoscope Kids. We made another one called Play, and like it's Johnny Berchtold, as
Nice.
you know,
Yes.
and then Grace Barlow, who they're both the sweetest people, and they're so talented together. They're like a powerhouse. So yeah, we like literally shot Kaleidoscope Kids in one day. I
Oh
had like
wow.
a edit in a couple days, and then we just kind of like yeah. And her sister, actually, um, her sister did some music in it.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
my
Nice.
boyfriend did the score. So
Nice.
it just
Nice.
it was really cool because it was just a little close knit like collaboration. And it was really nice.
Oh man, that's so awesome. I love it. And like Johnny actually stars in and writes the short, right?
He wrote it, yeah.
Okay.
And he was telling me because his goal, because he started working with Jason Blum, you know, at Blumhouse, like
Yeah.
on some of these little short things he was doing, and so he's like they are like really interested in uh because we did it kind of as like a pilot a little bit. It's you know it's open ended. So yeah, he's kind of just shopping it, which is cool. But
Uh,
again, it was just fun for us all to keep creating together and just do what we love. Because Johnny, when I first met him, my mutual friend from Utah introduced us, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I've worked with these people who are obsessed with Halloween and horror. Like, you guys would be best friends." And he introduced us, and we're like, and we just like wouldn't stop talking all night long. And then, of course, we did. We became like best friends, and so
nice.
yeah, I see them a lot. They're amazing.
Yeah, but I was telling you when we were messaging each other that me and Johnny actually worked at the Eastern State Penitentiary, the
That
Halloween
is such a
scary
small world.
house.
That's amazing. That's so funny. No, yeah, I think he kind of told me about that because I remember him saying I worked at a haunted house, but I didn't know
Hmm.
where. I thought it was back in New Jersey.
No, it
Um,
was in Philly. Yeah,
so that's so funny. That's awesome.
yeah. That's when I first met him, and like his acting skills, even for something like that, one of those like haunted prisons, and like his acting skills were just like really good. And I remember like watching him doing his like little skit for it, and he's just like so good at what he does, and he has
So
a really strong passion for horror.
he does, and you're always gonna like see that. You know, he's passionate, but he also just so natural with everything he does.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm just so glad that like he's just killing it. Like I said, after we finished Snowfalls, like a lot of the cast is just like they keep rolling with projects and kill like so it's cool to see just because like they are just so good that like people are gonna like start to see more of their stuff because they deserve that. So yeah.
Definitely. But I was laughing. I saw he actually did a post, Johnny, where he was like, I think him and his girlfriend were standing in front of the Halloween house, and Jamie Lee Curtis like
Oh yeah.
commented or liked it.
Well, because he proposed to her in front of it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He proposed to Casey in front of that house. And so Jamie Lee Curtis, like, she reposted the whole thing.
That's right. I mean, how cool is that? Laurie Strode.
Like, are you kidding me? No, like, and to do that in front of the house, but also to have her repost it and be like, oh my gosh, congratulations. I'd be like, I'd be dead. Literally so cool.
Well, you see, if you get married, that's what you should do too, and she might do the same.
I'll probably go to like Woodsboro. I'll go to Sidney Prescott's house.
Here you go.
Yes, that's where I need to be.
in like the horror short that we're talking about, and Snowfalls, like, was there any like cool or funny behind the scenes stories that happened on set?
I mean, it's always just like this is one of the things that I guess sort of pride myself on as being a director, just having like consistent work since I've like moved here, is that like even the last thing I just did, someone came up after that I'd never met before, and she was like, hey, like, I just want to like say it was so great to work with you. You were so sweet, so nice. And like, she's like, it's like refreshing to have someone who is directing it that makes you feel comfortable the whole time. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I've been behind the camera, been in front of the camera, but like, done all different calibers of films too. And as soon as the director, I think, tries to maintain so much control by losing his, like, they're cool and like being mean and like yelling, it's like you actually lost control, because it's like people are going to stop respecting you in a way where like they're going to do their work, they have to, but they're not going to like recommend you. They're not going to like, so I found like, I feel like a good balance and a good way of getting the work done, being very, very like specific with my shot list and just my storyboards, everything, just so everyone's on the same page, and knowing I'm going to get my stuff done, but also having a good time so that everyone feels comfortable, because as soon as they do, they're going to work that much harder if they're having fun. And so the point of saying that was, in Snowfalls, it was actually my first time directing myself in one of my films. And so it was like a cast of 5 of us staying in a cabin. We shot this whole feature film in 6 days. It was a whirlwind. It was crazy, because I can't even imagine when people say we're shooting one in like 14 days, people are like, holy crap, it's 2 weeks is such a little amount of time. So 6 days, it was kind of crazy, but we all lived in the cabin together. We shot the film in the cabin together. And we just had so many funny stories, because we actually spent New Year's Eve in like, so it became New Year's Eve as we were shooting, you know what I mean? So we were in the story, the group of friends go to this cabin to spend New Year's Eve, and it was actually turning 2020. And so we were like, we have our shoot days 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and like, so we'll be wrapped by time, if we do on time, that we get to spend New Year's together. And so we all got to spend New Year's together, and it was just like so much fun. And it was funny because like there's one of the stories that's hilarious, is because me and Victoria were like out there, like, because as soon as we wrapped, someone was like, shots everyone, and it was just hilarious. And so we're like, yeah, and we're all just like having champagne in the hot tub, just swimming, like having a great time, like jumping in the snow, like whatever. And Casey was like, John's like fiance was like, hey, well, we got to go to bed because we are also working. And so it's like, okay, we are working, but and so she brings him to the room, and like I'm out there with Victoria still and one of our other friends, and all of a sudden he comes like sneaking out. And she's like, Jonathan Berchtold, and she's like, because he kept sneaking out to like party with us, but she's like, get in bed right now. It was just so funny because he was like truly like sneaking out. And so it was fun. We found like a really good balance of like, because when you're on set with your friends, you can kind of like be a little more lenient with like, that sort of stuff. But it was just fun. It was just, like, so those are some of that just was funny to me, because but we all were actually filming in the snow. And so it was one of his stories. It was funny, and the behind the scenes that we have that's going to come out is that it wasn't cold in the cabin. It was supposed to be that the power went out, it's freezing, but the heat's on and stuff. So like every time before I called action, I'm like, you guys, it is freezing. It's freezing, because they'd start the thing, you'd be like, oh yeah, so I'm like, wait, freezing, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys, it's just so funny, because like it wouldn't have been believable if we literally went through this film like that. So it was just fun, but we had to remind each other because it was just warm in there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was funny.
See, when you were shooting it, you should turned off the heat, and everyone would have been cold for real.
I mean, we should have been like method acting, like in the actual cold. Can you imagine? I mean, that would have been funny to see that. But it was, I mean, I feel bad for our post-production because our VFX artist who was amazing, his name is Marty Kane, and um he came on and did all the post-production snow that we needed, all the breath. So every time like people are talking in a house, he added the cold, the breath, and like it was a lot of
Nice.
work, but he's super, super quick and talented, and he's amazing. So yeah, we were lucky to have a really great team be a part of this.
Sweet, sweet, nice. And like there's another horror film you did, and also it's someone that I'm friends with. I know like Mike Manning
I
with
was leading to this,
Killer
yeah.
Date.
Yes, so that was, I mean, that was already fun because me and Mike have known each other now for I think, oh my goodness, almost 10 years.
Oh, good.
Um,
Yeah, wow.
him and I were an actor together. We acted in a Disney Channel movie. That's how we met.
Oh my God,
And
really?
yeah, so that's how we met. And then we stayed friends. It'll be actually, yeah, it'll coming up on 10. Uh, we just stayed friends throughout all of that. And like, I knew that he was acting, I was continuing acting, but he knew I was directing. So he's like, we have to work together someday. And he had these two writers approach him, which are our mutual friends as well.
Hmm.
And he's like, hey, like we're looking for a director for this. And I had just finished another horror comedy with my friend Jeanette McCurdy called Eight Bodies. And they were like, we watched this and this is literally the tone we're trying to go for. And so yeah, Mike like showed them, and he's like, let's have a meeting, see if this clicks. Sat down, clicked immediately, and then we in about
Nice.
like 2 months we were in production. And so they were super cool about letting me create a certain stylistic vision for that short. And me and Mike are now working, like kind of working on another project, well, a couple of
Oh,
projects to
really?
develop them. So yeah, like we work well together that way. And
Sweet.
I saw that you interviewed him, so I was gonna actually
Yes.
bring that up.
Yeah. I actually interviewed Mike twice. I interviewed him one on one because he had a horror film he was doing with Lynn
Oh yeah,
Shay
the call, yeah.
and
Hmm.
Tobin Bell. I forgot what the name of the movie was.
It's
But,
called The Call, I think I
but
remember that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I interviewed him about that, and then I'm friends with one of Mike's old castmates from the MTV
Oh,
Real World, Josh,
funny, awesome.
and we did MTV Real World interview with Josh and Mike.
Oh, so you did it a long time ago. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Yeah.
well, no, like the interview was recent. I
Oh,
brought,
wait, you just brought them together. That's so
I
funny.
did because
That's awesome.
I'm friends with Josh, and Josh hasn't talked to Mike since the show.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
and I was like, well, I just interviewed Mike. I said, how about if I try to get you, me, and Mike on an interview, and you could talk about the real world 20 years later.
That's awesome. I'm glad you did that. That's so cool
Mhm.
connecting them back. But yeah, I remember like when we were shooting the Disney movie, he was I obviously, we were all researching all the cast that's been cast in the film. And so
Yeah,
I was like, oh, the real world. Cause I never watched that, but that's just so funny. Yeah. Oh, I love him. He's great.
yeah, he really is. And actually, Mike is coming back on the show next month for we're going to talk about this film, Killer Date,
Oh,
and
great.
Slap Face.
Oh, that face. Cool. That's
Yeah,
very cool. Yeah, we're developing another horror film right now, like I was just telling you. So, and it's with the same writer who did Snowfalls. So just kind of
nice.
keeping it in the family again, but I'm just am very excited for it. So yeah.
Oh man, that's so awesome. And what scene did you like most from Killer Date?
Um, I really, I mean, that whole thing was so much fun to make. We shot the whole thing in like 3 days, but
Hmm.
the most fun part for me was the opening scene in the junkyard where, the main girl, because we wanted, I mean, that scene was already in there, but I wanted it to feel so like contrasted from the beginning to the actual like comedy of the whole movie because it's
Yeah.
very light, but like because it felt like a true like horror film. She's like hiding in the junkyard and like being stalked by some killer, and then all of a sudden we jump straight into the tone of it where it's like it freezes and his voiceover comes on. He's like, so that was fun because we shot that at this junkyard in Palmdale in California, and they
Nice.
had shot a bunch of films there, like Transformers was shot there, a bunch of things. And um, I work well under pressure, and we were like, we got there, we rehearsed it because it was like a bunch of Steadicam stuff, and we needed to shoot right when the sunset was like golden hour was happening. So that means you have like 30 minutes to film, and we knocked it all out. But it was really cool, and I just liked how that scene was really fun for me. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And I saw you did you made a video for Lance Bass, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's funny because I've known him for a while as a friend, and then it kind of transitioned into business relationship after he
Hmm.
saw Killer Date because he's friends with Mike as well. So
Okay.
he came to the premiere of Killer Date at Screamfest where we premiered that, and
Nice, nice.
he came up to me after and was like, "Oh my goodness, this was so good." He's like, "I would like to talk to you about what else you're developing," and so we had a business meeting like probably like a couple days later, and then he totally fell in love with one of my projects that we now are developing together. So he's producing it. Lance Bass Productions is like producing it along with mine. And then, so yeah, we've been having a bunch of production meetings and getting this off the ground. We're gonna try to shoot it before the year ends. So we'll see what happens. But it's just cool to like be working. So that's how that happened. I was working with him like
Wow.
that, and then he knows how much I love horror,
Yeah.
and he's like, so we're having kids. And he's like, and they are supposed to be born in October. So he's like, what better person to do this? And we thought we'd do a horror trailer. And so
Nice,
we're like,
nice.
yes, let's do this. So I wrote like a concept for it in a couple days. We shot it in like 4 hours, and I had to edit to him in the next couple days. And he was super excited to release it. And people like really responded well, it seemed like.
Oh man, that's so awesome. I mean, knowing that Lance Bass is a horror fan is actually really cool.
He is. He loves horror. So
Nice, nice, nice. And were you also did Scary Tale endings Cruella.
yeah. So I started this anthology series probably like 4 or 5 years ago, but like I feel like I just like you said, I wear so many hats, I juggle a lot
I
of
know
different
you do.
projects that like I'm like picking and choosing what I spend time into, obviously make them happen. And so whenever I have a short idea, instead of saying, "Hey, let's make a short," and it has no life beyond that, besides film festivals, it's like I have this anthology series where it can fall under that and release them. Um, and so I just even before Cruella came out or even release talks of a movie, I had always that's been one of my favorite Disney movies, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's such a dark. It really is so dark that she is obsessed with these animals and wants to skin them to wear like a polka dot jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, let's show the dark side of that. Like, what would happen if she got a hold of these puppies? And so we did, and that was really fun to make because I feel like it captured like a really cool style, but also just the darkness of what she was really like wanted to do. So yeah, that was like an episode of that, and I had a couple other episodes for that franchise, for that series, that were bought by other companies. Like
Oh
Awesomeness
wow.
TV bought one that I like directed for them like 4 years ago. And so, anyways, it's kind of just that. I think that's why it hasn't been so consistent because some of them are either being bought and I'm directing them for a different like company, or it's like the Cruella one where it's just like short and it's sweet, it's its own thing, but it's I just yeah. So we're releasing them as we make them, but there's no like I guess trajectory for when they come out.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Sweet. Nice. Nice. And you also like besides doing writing and directing, you also act and you played Liam in Nocturne, and you also did a show called Filth and the wrestling show Glow.
Well, yes, so I started acting back in Utah before I was obviously making movies with my friends and family stuff, and then I wanted to get into acting class and be a better actor just to make myself a more well-rounded director because I was witnessing directors that are so well versed in their technical world but just didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how to talk to actors. You know what I'm saying? Like all my acting friends too, like these days when they find a director like that, they're like, I wasn't getting any notes or any direction. It's just like it kind of just like we're gonna go again. Like and like, so I was like, I want to be able to talk to actors in a way that they will respect and understand. So yeah, I started acting class and it became a fun world and fun connection for me. And then um my grandparents actually invested in my first movie and then my acting coach produced it. And so that was kind of like my debut. I was like 17 years old being thrown into directing my first legit film, and it went to festivals and it won lots of awards, which was cool, but it was not horror. It was something that kind of just got me on the map in Utah.
Yeah,
And then I
exactly.
was able to start making movies as just directing. And yeah, so and then when I moved to LA, I literally 2 months after moving to LA, I booked the Disney Channel movie. So,
Oh
and
wow.
it's again, it wasn't like I was like actively. It was weird how it worked because I actually moved to LA. We had another production shooting back in Utah, so flew back there, had an audition for the Disney movie, came back to LA, had a call back at Disney Channel, and then booked it. And I was like, this is so weird. I feel like things happen when you're not trying too hard. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It was just like, well, awesome. Like, you put your work into it. That's kind of what happened with Glow as well. Like when I went on that audition, my agent called me the day before. He's like, hey, you have an audition tomorrow. This is what it's like. And I just like kind of was so just like, hey, let's just do this. I was like, hey, can I just take my because like I was supposed to be shirtless in the episodes,
Okay.
but they so for the audition though, they were saying wear a tight shirt, very something form fitting so we can see what your body looks like. And so we just went in there and I was like, can I just take my shirt off? And they're like, if you're comfortable, then do it. And then I literally heard back hours later and he's like, they cast you. And I was like, cool. So,
See
but
that?
again, it was just like the mentality of just being okay with whatever happens.
Right. You know, if if you would have wore the shirt, you probably wouldn't have gotten cast.
Probably wouldn't have got asked. They would have never known. But no, like that's and the people that I worked with on Nocturne, that was such a fun because it's a feature film, but it was done low budget in Utah, and so it was another one where I flew back to my home, which I loved because I get to see my family.
Hmm.
But it was like it was more like psychological horror, and it's always fun to do something like that, and made a lot of good friends on that, and I still talk to everyone. So yeah, it's cool. I love acting, and I love being a part of projects when that arises. And I will audit. Like this past week, I had four auditions, and so I will
Wow.
do them when I have time. Because developing my projects and directing is my first and foremost passion and
Yeah, exactly.
responsibility for myself. And so I do tell my agents and stuff that represent me as an actor. I'm like, that is my first and foremost thing that I need to focus on. So yeah, but yeah, I love acting as well.
Nice. So, I was gonna ask, like, what do you like doing more? But sounds like you like all of it, like working behind the camera and in front of the camera.
Yeah, I mean, directing is something I love more because that's like my passion. I've always loved creating. I love creating like a concept and seeing it, bring it to life, and have that control as well. To like, and I edit, so it's like having creative control. I think is such a special thing to me as an actor. Like you kind of are just there for the ride, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay, you're being called to set, you do your thing, blah blah
yeah,
blah. And so and you just have to know your own like place with what you're doing, unless you're like involved like Johnny, where he wrote it, and it's like we all just had to collaborate it together.
exactly.
So directing is definitely my bigger passion, but I also do love the world of acting, and I think it's can be so fun, and I've made so many great friends doing it. But I want to act in more horror films because I think it's just so fun.
uh horror is the best. Like,
Yeah.
even like I acted in like a couple like low budget to no budget horror films that
Oh,
like
nice.
barely made it to DVD.
That's awesome though. It's still just a fun experience. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the actual like actually going to the set and filming it, and it was so much fun. And
That's awesome.
the one horror film I was in is called half 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 life horror from hell.
Oh my gosh. The title. That's
Half
amazing.
life horror from hell. And
You're like, okay, here we
it
go.
it was just so much fun to shoot. And Sarah French is actually in that
Oh,
movie.
cool, cool. That's awesome. See, I just think like, I mean, just any opportunity like that, especially as people who are horror fans like we are, it's like, to be no matter what the budget is, just it's just cool to see people who have that passion to make something,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love horror and acting in horror and everything about horror. It's
So
just
fun.
like it's a fun world. It's a world that people that don't like horror look at you like you belong in
A mental institution.
mental asylum. Like, it's a fun world, and I love being part of it.
Me too, and that's why I was, mentioning like Final Girls and Bride of Chucky because I feel like that all falls within like a fantastical horror realm,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
um, and Nightmare on Elm Street specifically. specifically. That's because like it's like you go into your dream world and anything can happen. They're being sucked under the bed. They're being, like, you know, and I just think that's so magical in its own way. And that's why also a lot of my other stuff I direct besides just like the horror genre is like dark fantasy. It has like a whimsical vibe to it. So it's like Guillermo del Toro-esque, like Tim Burton inspired. And I just love it, like creating different worlds that just don't exist, you know? And
Yeah, exactly.
but that's my new film actually that Lance is doing with me. I feel like it's the perfect balance of we're living in a realistic world, but it has such a fantastical element that you have not really seen in the horror genre before. So I'm very excited for you to see it. It's gonna be fun.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
And what kind of songs do you like? Like what's on your playlist?
I am a huge Britney Spears fan, so free
Sweet.
Britney. No, but like loved her since I was a kid. I love pop. I love something that you can like dance to because like you know, every time most of the time when I'm listening to something, it's either road trips or like working out, and so I want something that's. But I also I don't know. I'm trying to think what's on my playlist right now. I'm finding a bunch of cool new artists that I like to listen to, but uh, one of my friends, Todrick Hall, I did some of his music videos. He creates like pop like music that I think is just so catchy. But so he's someone I listen to at the gym a lot, Brittany. But I don't know. I love the Chainsmokers. I'm actually gonna go see them next weekend in Vegas.
Nice.
I just love that type of music as well. Again, just I feel like something that you really that has like a beat and something you can like listen to easily and just have fun. So, what about you?
Me, I love pop and I also love rock. Like that's like my top two, pop and rock.
Did you
Not
love
really
Miley
much.
Cyrus's new album then?
Yes, that's so
I was
good. Oh my
obsessed with
God.
that album. That
Like
was so good.
when she covered the Cranberry Zombie, I was like blown away. Like she did that so good.
She just is like effortless when she does stuff, and like, and it's. I think she's truly found it's like her image because it's like it just comes effortless to her. That album was amazing. I thought like truly it was. Yeah, so it's cool that she's like doing the pop rock sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, that album had everything that I love. Like it has pop and it has rock, and that's
So
my two favorite things.
you're like, here we go. Yeah, no, and her voice, like no one sounds like her. So I'm like, I just love listening to her.
Yeah. You'll probably laugh at this. Like one of my favorite like pop stars of all time is Paula Abdul.
No, that's not fun. That's amazing. I love her. No, well, first of all, her music is. I love her music. I think that she set a lot of like, well, inspired a lot of different artists. Britney Spears has said that about that music, and she also like Madonna was very forward thinking with her dancers and like having boys and like in heels or like the way they were dancing and like I just think that's cool because they were such an influence back then and still can be still are to people
Yeah.
that like to set that back then I think it was like so cool for them to do because it wasn't as accepted or whatever but
Yeah, exactly.
very very cool and inspiring. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, it was fun. Paula actually came back on tour right before like right before COVID, like a few months before COVID, before the world shut down, and she was back on tour for the first time in 25 years. And I went and saw her, and when I went and saw her, I bought a backstage pass, and
Nice.
as soon as it was my turn, I went with my mom because I needed someone with me, and
Oh,
my
I
mom
love
pulls
that.
my mom pulls open the curtain and Paula Abdul is standing right there. And I walked in and I just froze and I'm just staring at her. And Paula Abdul walks over to me and she gives me a big hug and say, "It's okay, honey, it's okay." And then I came to and I start talking to her.
Oh my gosh, that's such a cool story. I see, I love when people are kind like that. You know, I've had like many experiences with different types of people, but actually it's funny, I've totally spaced the fact that I have met her before because she opened up for oh no, Todrick opened up for her for Pride 2 years ago.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
we were
yeah,
backstage with her. I totally forgot about that because I swear, like sometimes my life is just like a blur and I'm like, what? But just such a sweet, sweet person. That's so cool that she did that.
yeah. She's awesome. Like I love Paula. I could go on for hours about her.
Oh, I love that. No, her music video that is has the animated cat.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And is there any like TV series you like to binge watch, like you and your boyfriend probably
Right
hanging
now
out?
we're actually watching Buffy because he's never seen Buffy the
Oh, I
Vampire
love
Slayer.
Buffy.
So we're sort of like binging that. We binged Dexter during COVID,
Nice,
which
nice.
I was obsessed with that series, and the fact that they're coming back with a new season, I'm so excited. Um, uh, Bates Motel, I loved.
That was really good.
I love that. Vera
That was
Farmiga is
really
a
good.
genius. I did watch certain the first like 4 seasons of American Horror Story. See, I'm
Hmm.
very specific with the stuff I watch because I feel like I just feel like I just don't have enough time to be like sitting down and watch. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
wasting too much time, but also it is inspiring and I love watching things that makes it. That's why I'm excited for Chucky. But
Yes.
yeah. So I'm other than that, I'm trying to think. I think those are probably like my main ones that I loved. Yeah.
Nice. I probably watched Buffy and Charmed like over and over.
See, it's weird because I never watched growing up as a kid. I never watched Buffy or Charmed, which is very weird. So I watched Buffy the first time like 4 years ago. I'm
Hmm.
like, why did I never watch this? It just was weird because it seems like something I would totally watch that's down my alley, and I never did. So now I'm like obsessed with her and just like Buffy in general. So now
Nice,
I'm introducing Kyle to it. And, I think you're really excited.
nice. And do you know what's funny? Like Charmed and Buffy were like two of my all-time favorites, and in real life, Sarah Michelle Gellar is actually best friends with Shannon Doherty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny. That's really funny.
So
Nice.
you got Prue from Charmed and Buffy that are like
Yeah,
best friends.
that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's so funny. Yeah, no, I've always loved Sarah Michelle Gellar, but like, even going into being Daphne, I was like, come on, this is so she's perfect for that. But I also like respect her. I love her relationship, and I just think that I love how she stays out of the media in like such a positive way, I think.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
and she's just great.
oh, she really sticks out of the media. You don't know how long I've been trying to get her for an interview.
Yeah, really? Oh my gosh, let me please know when you do, because I will be watching that entire thing.
Oh, that if I've been trying for almost a year to get Sarah Michelle Gellar for an interview and never heard back. Every time I emailed and never hear nothing back.
So do you
So,
reach out to their publicist or
hmm
who? Okay.
hmm so if I do get it, I'll definitely have you come on with me and we could both do an interview with her.
Gosh, that'd be so awesome. Ah, yes. Okay, let's do it. Let's put that energy out there. Manifest.
Okay, definitely, definitely.
Oh, I love that.
Is there anything coming out next that you want to like push your plug or anything?
Um, Let me think. We shoot? Well, I mean, there's a music video I just directed for this duo. Their names are Jake and Fanny, and they're based in France now. So it's like a
Nice.
hybrid. It's a hybrid thing, but like it's a very cinematic sort of Bonnie and Clyde music video, and I'm really happy with it. And then I'm directing another one that's kind of Beetlejuice inspired in about 2 weeks. So these are just a couple of music videos, but the thing I'm doing with Lance, we are, like I said, in pre-production stages where we're getting the right teams involved to fulfill the vision of what we're doing.
Hmm.
And so that is the next thing that I'm really just putting a lot of my time into,
Nice.
because I'm just so excited about it. I believe in it like 1,000%. And so I just want to see that come to life in the right way. So putting a lot of energy into that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And where can fans find you at, like with your social media and all that stuff?
I think all through everything, it's just at Colton Tran on Twitter, on Instagram. I think TikTok has two N's. It's COLTONN Tran because someone took it.
Oh wow.
And then what? Yeah, my website is just Colton Tran. So yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. So yeah, that's all across the board.
Nice. So if anyone wants to find you, all they have to do is put in your name and everything will pop up.
Yeah, yep. Everything will pop up. So hopefully the right stuff.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, yeah. But yeah, so that's where you can find me, see all my work. I have like there's links from my website to all my other platforms. Like on my Instagram, I have one of those link trees where you like see my art. I make artwork from broken vinyl, and a lot of it's horror or pop. A lot of people like commission them, And that's what I sold at Monster Palooza. So I sold them and I do art shows with those. It goes to my website, goes to all my other platforms, and then so you can kind of find everything from Instagram.
Nice.
It'll lead you to it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
One question I forgot to ask you, the last question, and then I'll end it. What is your workout and diet like? Because you definitely have an awesome body. So like,
thank you
what?
so much. Is it okay? Well, I want to talk about this because it's funny. Like from the bridge, from being a director and also really caring about my fitness.
Mm-hmm.
My stepdad was the chief of police, and he, like, when I was a kid, he was working out so much, and so he got me into fitness when I'm 15 years old.
Nice.
And but it was like, obviously you have to ease yourself into it. But I have some friends. Well, I mean, for me personally too, like you've seen some of my posts. You posted a bunch of my things today, and I love mixing fitness and horror and art and just whatever, and like also just doing what I love. But like sometimes I question myself because I'm like, okay, are people not going to take me seriously as a director if I do you know what I'm saying? And like I'm like, do I see Steven Spielberg posting shows? Like, but again, it's a different world. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't always battle myself, but sometimes I do. I'm like, should I like just transition into only posting film stuff or only? But I was like, you know what? It's hard work. It's not easy. I like put so much work into my fitness and my body, and like I dedicate. Like I said, I just did the second day at the gym today, and I don't stress myself out about a diet or anything because I think it's just moderation for me. If I work out really hard at the gym, well, actually, I was doing intermittent fasting. So I don't, from about 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., I don't eat. Wow. And I did that for a couple of years. And now, actually, just even yesterday or today, decided to kind of like switch it back to like eat breakfast because I love breakfast. It's like my favorite meal. Just kind of see how it does, like shock your body into changing things. But initially, if I would go work out, like, had a great workout and I leave that place and I'm like, I want Burger King and I want burger and fries. And like, I'm going to go do it. And that's that. But it's not like I'm going to overeat. Even like for holidays, like people are like, it's Christmas, it's Thanksgiving. Or like, if they hold themselves back so much from eating as much, all of a sudden when they do eat, if they eat like crazy. I know. So I'm just like, it is Christmas, but I'm going to have like a normal portion and that's just it. But like, and that's for me. So I think that's just like how I've kept, without driving myself crazy with like, I have friends who count their macros and like every pound and they're weighing themselves and all these things. And I think you can like drive yourself mad. I'm like, I have enough stuff to focus on and I have ADD. So I just need to like work out and have fun but also eat whatever I want to eat, but it's not too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of literally the secret, if you will, like of what I just do. Like it's just moderation. And even with sweets and stuff like that, like I do question myself. I'm like, do I need this donut right now? And I'm like, no, I don't. So I just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? I think everyone kind of knows what they need at the time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to not do that. Or if I do, I'm like, I'll just work out a little longer tomorrow, but I'm not going to stop myself from eating what you want. And I think that people are mentally happier too when you're not holding yourself back. Everything makes you happy, you know?
Exactly. You're absolutely right about that.
Longest answer, but there you go.
Well, I mean, I want to thank you again for coming on the show, and definitely thank you for taking time out of your night and doing this. And it was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And I, when I looked at your stuff and you asked me to go on the show, I was like, oh my gosh, he's interviewed Mike. And like, he seems like he knows a bunch of great people and you are so sweet and so awesome.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me on here, and let's, fingers crossed, Sarah Michelle Gellar coming up soon.
Oh my God. I swear if I get Sarah, me and you are definitely going to do an interview with Sarah.
100%.
Yes.
And the fact that you're interviewing Mike again for the third time for Killer Date and stuff, I love that's happening. And so it's cool. Like, we'll keep in touch regardless, because you're so great. And also I have projects that are happening, developing. So we can always, talk more.
Definitely. Like I definitely want to have you back on the show more times, just like I do with Mike. Like I would love for you to come back, like when you have the project coming out with Lance and the other horror stuff you're working on. Definitely would love you to come back.
Me too. Well, thank you so much, and yeah, I can't wait to see how this turns out, and I love your show. So yeah, it was fun.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, so do I just like see you next time, or I don't even know. Anyways, just you keep in contact. Well, we'll both keep in contact
Definitely.
because finding alike people who love horror and stuff like that, I try to make more of an effort to stay in touch because I want to,
Sweet. Nice.
yeah, we really should. So,
Well, yeah, definitely. We're definitely gonna stay in touch. Definitely talk about horror. We'll talk about Halloween and everything.
and then yeah, since Halloween's coming, I mean, I think it's coming up soon. Obviously, it is. I'm already like prepping for my costumes and
Oh
stuff.
my
So I'm like,
God, same.
I cannot. So yeah, we should have a Halloween episode when that gets closer because there'll be a lot
Yes.
to talk about.
Yes, definitely want to do that. And then
Yes.
we could come in our costumes or
Yes, perfect. Okay. And we'll have like a wardrobe change every 10 minutes and get into a different costume. Yes. Perfect. Yay. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, same.
Awesome. All right. Well, you have a good night, okay?
All right, buddy. You do the same. Have a good Friday night and good weekend.
You too. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bud.
Bye.
Bye.